The voicemail starts with silence, not the kind that feels empty, but the kind that feels like someone is still there, just not speaking. Then, a shaky breath, a girl's voice, soft, strained, almost swallowed by the sound of wind brushing against the phone. I didn't know what to do. There's a pause, a long one. Too long, like she's deciding whether to say the next part, or bury it forever, and then the line goes dead. That message would sit unheard for hours. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, whatever had happened was already buried, not metaphorically, actually buried. Brooke Skylar Richardson looked like the kind of girl people trusted without thinking twice. Blonde hair always perfectly brushed, a soft smile that never lingered too long, and a presence that felt careful, like she was always making sure she didn't take up too much space in a room. At her high school, she wasn't loud, not the center of attention, but she didn't need to be. She was a cheerleader, the kind that parents pointed at and said, "That's a good girl." Teachers described her as polite, quiet, responsible, the kind of student who apologized even when something wasn't her fault. But there was something else people noticed, though they couldn't quite explain it. Brooke had started changing, slowly at first. She'd been losing weight rapidly, drastically. Friends whispered about it in hallways. Teachers exchanged concerned glances, but every time someone asked, Brooke would smile, that same soft, controlled smile, and say she was fine. And for a while, everyone believed her. The first real crack appeared at a doctor's office. Brooke had gone in complaining about back pain, nothing unusual, just a routine visit. But as the doctor examined her, something didn't feel right. Tests were ordered, quietly, carefully, and then the truth surfaced. Brooke wasn't just dealing with back pain, she was pregnant, far along, the kind of far along that changes everything. But what unsettled the doctor more than the pregnancy itself was Brooke's reaction. She didn't cry, she didn't panic, she didn't ask questions, she just sat there, still, like the words hadn't fully reached her, or like she had already known, and was hoping no one else ever would. After that appointment, things became strangely quiet. Brooke didn't tell her friends, not her parents, not anyone. She went back to school, back to cheer practice, back to smiling in hallways like nothing had changed. But people started noticing more. Her weight continued to drop, her clothes hung looser, her energy faded. And yet, there were moments where something felt off, like she was hiding something in plain sight, something bigger than anyone could imagine. At home, her parents had no idea. Brooke kept her distance, stayed in her room more often, avoided long conversations. When her mom asked if she was okay, Brooke would nod, always nod, and say she was just tired. And maybe she was, but not in the way they thought. The night it happened, no one heard anything. No screams, no calls for help, no footsteps rushing through the house. Just silence. The kind of silence that let something terrible happen unnoticed somewhere inside that house, behind closed doors. Brooke gave birth alone. No doctor, no guidance, no one there to witness it. What happened next, no one would fully understand for a long time. Because by morning, everything looked normal again. Brooke went back to her routine. She smiled, she spoke softly. She existed exactly the way she always had, except now, there was something missing. Or maybe, something hidden. Days passed, then weeks. No one asked about a baby because no one knew there was ever supposed to be one. Brooke returned to school like nothing had happened. She even went to prom, dressed up, smiling for pictures, dancing under dim lights like any other teenager. If you looked at those photos, you'd never guess that just days earlier, something life-altering had happened in her bedroom. But rumors started to spread, small ones at first, whispers about her weight, about the doctor's visit, about how something didn't add up. And eventually, someone said it out loud. Was she pregnant? That question reached the wrong ears, or maybe the right ones. An anonymous tip made its way to the police. It wasn't detailed, it didn't need to be, just enough to make someone look closer. Detectives started asking questions, quiet ones, careful ones. They spoke to classmates, teachers, neighbors, and slowly, a pattern began to form. That something had happened, something Brooke hadn't told anyone. When they finally approached her, she didn't run, she didn't deny everything, she just looked tired, like she had been carrying something heavy for too long. At first, Brooke said the baby was stillborn, that she had panicked, that she didn't know what to do. Her voice was calm, almost detached, as she described burying the body in the backyard, like she was talking about something distant, something that didn't fully belong to her. Police searched the yard, and they found it. A small grave, hidden beneath the surface. The discovery changed everything, because now, this wasn't just a rumor anymore. This was real. But something didn't sit right with investigators. The timeline felt off. The details didn't line up, and Brooke's story, it shifted. Subtly at first, then more noticeably. Medical experts were brought in, and their findings complicated everything. Couldn't determine if the baby had been born alive. There were no clear signs of trauma, no definitive cause of death, which meant one terrifying possibility. No one knew if a crime had actually been committed. As the case unfolded, Brooke's life was dissected in public. Text messages surfaced, conversations with friends, mentions of body image, fear, pressure, a quiet desperation hidden beneath her calm exterior. And then, another layer. Brooke had been searching online, looking up things that made people uncomfortable. Not enough to prove intent, but enough to raise questions, big ones. Was this panic, or something planned? In the end, the truth wasn't as clear as anyone expected. Brooke admitted to burying her baby, but she maintained, over and over, that the baby was already dead. The court couldn't prove otherwise. No evidence of murder, no clear cause of death. And so, the most serious charges didn't stick. She was found not guilty of homicide. But that doesn't mean the story felt resolved, because somewhere in that silence, in that room, in that moment, no one witnessed. A life began and ended, without anyone truly knowing how. That voicemail, one with the shaky breath and the unfinished sentence, still feels heavier than any verdict. I didn't know what to do. Maybe that's the truth. Or maybe it's the only version of the truth we'll ever hear. Because some stories don't end with answers. They end with questions buried just beneath the surface, waiting for someone to dig them up.